we are aware it's part of the gymnastics by the system.
We've got details as the party expresses disappointment over the last-minute change of the court initially scheduled to hear the bail application of Kwame Baffoe Abronye, describing the move as mind-boggling and part of what it calls judicial gymnastics aimed at frustrating the process. Also, Cabinet Attorney General Dominic Ayine condemns threats by NPP to make Ghana ungovernable over claims of attack on free speech with arrest and detention of party faithful.
A country ungovernable, I think I will, treat it with the contempt it deserves.
We've got more as it takes on auditors for citing the AG's department over a 700,000 bank transaction advisories in the 69 billion arrears special report.
We met with them at the Ministry of Finance. I led the team. We gave, all the explanations necessary. So for them to now put it in the public accounts is grossly unacceptable.
And Parliament resumes in the next 24 hours after close to 2 months on break and a host of unresolved issues for a meeting set to be overshadowed by the arrest and detention of Asante Achem North MP in the Netherlands. And also in the bulletin, we'll tell you about how a young lady holding family to choral music at a time when many of her contemporaries are moving toward fast-paced genres. More in our feature, Born in Harmony. This is The Pulse. It's proudly brought to you by Daffodil Cough Expectorant. Daffodil, breathe easy, feel better. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. Please stay for details.
The bottle line has been drawn and history is calling. 2 giants, 1 trophy. Will this be Arsenal's first ever Champions League trophy? Or is PSG lifting it again for the 2nd time in a row? Join your #1 entertainment radio station, Hits 103.9 FM, at the Aviation Social Center as we watch Arsenal versus PSG battle on a giant screen. Ghana, get ready for the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026. This year, we've ramped up the excitement with sports quiz, soccer tournament, the Champions League anthem competition, esports, JAMA, and more. All roads lead to the Aviation Social Center. Swag up your jerseys. Wear your football club jersey proudly. And let's all meet at the Aviation Social Center from 10 a.m. to late. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th May 2026. And get ready for lots of fun with friends and family. Entertainment with your favorite Hits FM personalities. Music with a Hits FM DJ squad. And amazing prizes to be won from 10 a.m. to the climax of the UEFA Champions League finale match in grand style. The Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026 is powered by Joy Sports with support from Joy Prime, Joy News, Joy FM, and My Joy Online, and proudly sponsored by TCL, Inspire Greatness, Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuel for all. Soccer Bet, your best bet for sports betting. Didi Shito, Efiedienye, Heineken, share the passion. Twisco chocolate food drink, power your dream. Ashesi University, educating the next generation of ethical and entrepreneurial leadership for Africa. Ayuda, Ghana's #1 services app. Abaco Services, baby. Franco Trading Enterprise. Still phone Papa Pafi. Day by day men. Strong and refined. The skincare you deserve. Heritage Christian University. Educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. Citizen Sports Mall. Level up your game. Aqua.natural mineral water. Obenumanum Bium. DSTV. Feel every moment. The Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026.
Let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring David. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it they carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it they make water they flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
Good afternoon. Parliament is set to resume within the next 24 hours after nearly 2 months of recess, returning with a mountain of unresolved issues. Well, Parliament is yet to identify the MP who described Korle Klottey MP Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings as the daughter of a murderer, and also punish MPs accused of destroying public property during the Appointments Committee chaos. Well, this sitting of Parliament is also expected to be dominated and perhaps overshadowed by the arrest and detention of Achim Asante North MP Kwame Ohene Frimpong. And joining me in the studio is our resident Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, let's start with the litany of issues that are likely to be on the table in Parliament when it resumes tomorrow. We heard about somebody calling the MP for Korle Klottey daughter of a murderer. Almost a year, the person has never owned up. What do we know?
Yes, in fact, the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, was on his feet speaking when that comment was made from his back. We know for a fact that it was made by a minority MP who shouted from the back that daughter of a murderer. We just have not been able to identify the specific individual, the specific member of Parliament who made those comments. And at the time, it drew such an anger and a storm on the floor of the Parliament, with the majority insisting that they were going to fish out that person and ensure that the rules exact the kind of punitive punishment on that person. The Speaker of Parliament also took the matter up and threatened, in fact, at the time, that if the Member of Parliament did not own up, he was going to face consequences, because they were going to use all the resources at their disposal, including the footages and surveillance systems that are available in Parliament, to fish out that Member of Parliament. Listen to the Speaker of Parliament on the floor, threatening that they were going to go after that MP, but it's been a year, nothing has happened.
I extend my deepest apologies to Honorable Dr. Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings, Member of Parliament for Klottey Korle. Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the former First Lady of Ghana and widow of our late illustrious President, the family, the chiefs, and all the good people of Anglo Duko and Anglo land. No one serving their country should have to endure such indignity. Consequently, a formal investigation has been initiated to determine the identity of the member who made the comment. Subsequent to which, in line with Standing Orders 218 and 219, the Committee of Privileges and Immunities and Ethics and Standards shall be called upon to consider the referral and report to the House. The spirit of honor, accountability, and decorum, I advise the member responsible for the remark to within a week choose the path of honesty, mea culpa, and opt for a plea bargain. Taking this step would demonstrate good faith and respect for parliamentary dignity, rather than awaiting the outcome of the ongoing investigation, which will ultimately uncover the member who made the statement. I take a very serious view of the matter, and failure to take advantage of this window of opportunity will lead to dire consequences if finally unraveled.
That's the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. There I still have Kweku Asante in the studio with me. Kweku, the vetting committee early last year was characterized by chaos, yes, in your own words. And up to now, there was a whole committee that was set up to investigate the matter. Some MPs were suspended. They were subsequently reinstated in Parliament. What has become of that committee, really?
31st January 2025. It's a big night. MPs had been sitting on the appointment committee right from morning up until evening. It was getting to midnight, and the minority at the time said they had had enough. They did not believe that they had to vet more ministers, and so the proceedings should be put on hold until the next day. That small disagreement degenerated into something else, and a lot of distraction happened. For those of you who missed, we have a report capturing what happened and a call for that elusive search for accountability. Watch.
And as a routine sitting of Parliament's appointment committee quickly degenerated into one of the most disgraceful episodes in the history of the House. There was a simple disagreement over how many ministerial nominees were to be vetted.
The candidate nominees that we didn't agree, we have done it. Kofi Adams was not part of the arrangement. We compromised and did it. We agreed on 4, we have done 5. Don't you understand? What is this? Why? Look, some of them, we spend less than 30 minutes on them. We can't do proper vetting with this short time. Don't you understand this? Otherwise, it will not happen. It will not happen.
But instead of resolving the matter through dialogue, the MPs decided to trade blows instead. For those of you whose memory of the incident may be hazy, this is a reminder of a bit of what transpired.
Well, it's chaos. The table have been turned. It's chaos. It's chaos. It's chaos. It's chaos. The table have turned. More microphones are falling to the ground and things have been destroyed. The table has broken. The table has been broken with all that we are seeing here. It is obvious that this vetting may not happen. It is obvious that this vetting may not happen with all that is happening, with public property being destroyed.
The following day, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin responded forcefully. He announced stiff sanctions. 4 MPs identified as having played a role in the chaos were suspended.
Let there be no doubt, Parliament's credibility has been seriously undermined. Consequently, the following members are suspended from the sittings of Parliament for 2 weeks. They are 1 and 2, the 2 chief whips, in the persons of Mr. Rockson-Nelson Dafeamekpor, Kwame Dafeamekpor, and Mr. Frank Ano Dompre. 3, Mr. Alasan Suleimana Tampuli. And 4, Mr. Jerry Ahmed Shaib.
The minority, however, fiercely opposed the Speaker's decision. In a dramatic turn of events, the Speaker later reversed the suspensions, and it followed appeals from both the minority and majority leaders.
Today, I, on behalf of my caucus, would want to assure the public that such an action will not be seen in the public space again. I also, on behalf of my side appeal to you to reconsider your decision and lift the suspensions so that our colleagues can join us, whilst the other measures that you are putting in place so that long term we can ensure the orderly conduct of business in this house is achieved.
So I am satisfied with not just the statement but also their conduct. And I will proceed to lift the suspension of the 4 members of Parliament that I considered were involved in disorderly conduct.
A special committee was swiftly constituted to investigate the disturbances. Witnesses were invited, testimonies were taken, and a report was compiled. But that report has never been made public. 1 year later, it has still not been laid before the House, let alone debated the decision taken. And while that report gathers dust on the shelves somewhere in Parliament, MPs captured on live television vandalizing public property have walked free. There have been no prosecutions, no surcharges, no restitution, simply no accountability. This, despite the Speaker's public vow to crack the whip. 1 year on, Parliament appears to have collectively moved on. The incident appears to have faded from institutional memory. And in Parliament, where every disagreement now generates chaos, some fear even worse scenes may yet unfold. MPs now safe in the knowledge that no one will ever be held responsible for any misconduct. For Joy News, Kweku Asante.
And Kweku, aside from these 2 key issues, what else is expected when Parliament resumes?
Well, tomorrow morning, there will be a leadership press conference. Both the minority and majority leaders will address the press on what will be the substance of this meeting. The majority leader in particular will list all the bills that will be considered allies and all of that. We'll get to know that tomorrow. But these questions will not go away, and tomorrow we'll be asking them, the Speaker of Parliament himself, whenever we have the opportunity, we'll be doing so to get an understanding of what exactly Parliament is doing. But also, the matter having to do with the arrest of Abronye and co. The minority have already served notice. They want to bring in the Chief Justice. That may not happen, but they're also going to bring in the IGP, the leadership of the national security and all, because they say that the government is weaponizing free false speech laws against MP members, and they are going to demand that stops. Ken.
Kweku Asante reports to us from Parliament. Thank you very much. Let's go on to Zoom now, and joining me is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Draman. Welcome to the program. What do you make of these unresolved issues 1 year on?
Well, Carlos, I think, as I was saying earlier on your other platform, perhaps we are getting to a point where we need a unit in Parliament that will be responsible for monitoring and following up on matters such as these ones that we saw on your screen. Because often people say when a matter wants to be killed in Parliament, it goes to the Privileges Committee. These are very weighty matters, and I think Ghanaians expect some answers. So I would think that we are at a moment where Parliament needs to set up a unit that would monitor these things and report to Ghanaians on the status of some of these referrals. Particularly, Ghanaians watching on our screens and seeing MPs leading an effort to vandalize public property that I think they have a charge to protect. In terms of the daughter of the murderer comment, is so unfortunate, and I think Parliament knows the person who made this comment. And, if we don't bring this to a closure, I think we are going to see a repeat of it. But, Carlos, as we are on this, with hindsight, I think that maybe the Speaker accepting the apologies from the 2 leaders was perhaps maybe something that shouldn't have been done. The 2 whips, I think some good examples should have been set so that if we have the leaders of parliament being held to account, it will send a very clear message that nobody in parliament is going to be spared if we see a misdemeanor of any sort, in the future. Right. So I think, these are issues that parliament really needs to take a look at.
Right. Dr. Draman, this is Kenneth, by the way.
Sorry, Kenneth. Yes,
right.
Sorry.
Looking at the suspension that was given to the leaders from both sides of the House, 2 week suspension by Speaker Bagbin. He gave that suspension on the floor of the House. 2 days later, that suspension was lifted. There were even concerns that those suspensions, 2 weeks, were not enough. And guess what? It lasted for just 2 days. Were they enough, those punitive measures?
Well, at least for a start, because we've never seen anything like that in our parliament. So for a start, I would think that they were punitive enough, particularly because they concern the 2 whips, who are very critical in the running of the affairs of our parliament. But, like I was saying earlier, perhaps the speaker shouldn't have accepted the apologies of the 2 leaders. The suspension should have been made to stand so that a clear message would have been sent to everybody on the floor that, nobody is going to be spared if you are found to be in breach of the rules that guide the work of parliament.
You mentioned earlier that this sets a dangerous precedent, those events that happened and the subsequent punishments that were meted out. Do you see these things repeating themselves?
Well, I think we live to see, Kenneth. Knowing our parliament, I'm sure that it will not be too long for us to see some unruly behavior once again. And I believe at that time, maybe the Right Honourable Speaker will not listen to any plea. Because already before even the whistle is blown for tomorrow, we know what's going on. The tension between the minority and the judiciary. We are hearing all kinds of threats in terms of the position of the minority. So this could lead to some challenges in the House in the coming days. And I think we are all watching very closely to see whether members of parliament and particularly the leaders will rein in their members. But in this particular instance, I think one of the leaders is involved. So it remains to be seen how things are going to play out in the coming days.
Right. Dr. Draman, don't go yet. Thankfully, I have the Majority Chief Whip, Rockson-Nelson Dafeamekpor. He was part of those individuals who were suspended by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. Welcome to the program, Mr. Dafeamekpor. There are still issues that are unresolved, including the committee that was set up to investigate the chaos that ensued, which you played a major part. Why are these issues still pending unresolved?
Now, I'm confused about this question. Why is this relevant? Because a committee has been set up, a report has been laid. And so it's up to Parliament to take the report. My impression was that you were going to interview me about pending business for the next meeting, the second meeting of Parliament that starts tomorrow.
That is correct. Those are part of the conversations that we're going to have. But because you are a Majority Chief Whip and you were part of that incident that happened a year ago, that is what has necessitated that question.
I take exception to your question. I didn't play a major role. A committee has been set up. Findings of facts have been made. I wish you'd be speaking to the contents of the report. But to dangle me out as having played a major role, whether negatively or positively, I don't know what you mean. But let's be it as it is. Let me say that report is outstanding. It's been laid, it's been tabled, it's ready to be taken. If we go tomorrow and the House is ready to take it, that report can be taken. Please don't insinuate that I played a major role.
I am not insinuating that you played a major role, Mr. Dafeamekpor. You were part of the MPs that were suspended. That is the premise on which I based my question.
Yes, but you know the circumstances about my suspension. I was preventing the harm from happening. That's a positive thing.
But I never said your role was negative or positive.
That the media is not focusing on my positive role.
Mr. Dafeamekpor, I never said you played a negative role, did I? I said you played a role. And trying to stop the chaos was a role.
You said I was suspended and I played a major role.
Yes.
Anyway, let's leave that. Let's move into other areas.
Okay. Right. Let's look at the business ahead of tomorrow. What are we to expect when Parliament resumes tomorrow after a lengthy break?
Okay. So we expect to receive the Maritime and Related Offences Bill from the Committee on Transport. That because it's been laid. First reading done and referred to the committee to bring a report for the second reading to be done. That's it for Ministry of Transport. Then the road traffic regulations is also being referred to the subsidiary legislation for consideration and report. So we expect that to also be submitted. And then if you recall, we have what we call ratification of the bilateral air services agreement on behalf of the Ministry of Transport. That is to ratify the agreement between Ghana and Luxembourg, Ghana and the Republic of Mauritius, Ghana and the State of Qatar, Ghana and the Republic of Guyana, Ghana and the Republic of Benin, Ghana and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Ghana and the Kingdom of United Arab Emirates. And then, as you may be aware, we don't have a statutory regime for how wastewater is disposed of by ships that dock at our port. And it's become a major environmental concern. So the government has taken steps to bring a regulatory regime. So Parliament is being urged to consider the bill called Ballast Water Management Bill 2026. And that is also to be laid and considered. Okay. Then we have a law on Ghana Shipping Tonnage Act. So the Ghana Shippers Authority has prepared the regulations on the tonnage. That is the 2026. So that is for the Ministry of Transport. If we look at the Ministry of Energy, their intention is to review the entirety of the NPA Act. So there's a new bill coming to review the gamut of the legislations underpinning the work of the NPA. That is the Honorable Eduji's place.
Right.
Then we also will be looking, Parliament is being called upon to look at the private sector participation in terms of introduction of private sector participation in the electricity distribution under the multiple list model, that is the MLM. So we expect that legislation to come for us to consider.
Okay.
And then also the Nuclear Power Corporation Bill 2026 will also be considered. So for Ministry of Energy, these are some of the business that we may consider for the ensuing meeting. Then the last one for Ministry of Energy in this meeting will be the establishment of a renewable energy authority. They want to establish a statutory entity that will coordinate renewable energy issues. That is solar energy, wind vanes and all, in addition to the traditional energy sources that we have.
Right.
Then the Ministry of Interior, such a major ministry, will be, they have the Community Service Bill. The Community Service Bill is a legislation that is to help to decongest our prison. I'm sure it's been a major concern from the gender ministry, from other CSOs and stakeholders in this country regarding how children and the vulnerables are suffering in our prisons, so that only the serious offenders are convicted into a custodial system, so that the good thief, the plantain thief, the pickpocket, those offenders who get convicted by a court of law ought not to be sentenced to a custodial system.
Okay.
Sentenced to community service, so that you'll be sweeping the streets, you'll be weeding our roads. Our roads get weedy. Sometimes when 2 vehicles are coming, they can become fine. Those jobs used to be done by the PWD. Now we don't have PWD staffers. So we want prisoners who are common criminals, common thieves. When they are convicted, they should be doing the filling potholes on the street. So the community service bill is coming. Then we also intend to review the National Identity Register, major legislation. Some amendments will be effected. Then the National Identification Law will also be amended with the introduction of a bill.
Right.
Then prison service parole regulations will also be introduced. Then the major legislation mooted by the Honorable Minister for the Interior and responsible for national securities too. There's been complaints about activities of security operatives, the fact that sometimes they don't cooperate and coordinate. You may have a police commander in, say, that's my constituency, right? So national security may enter and conduct an operation, and they may come without recourse to the existing police commander, and it creates local conflict. So we want to introduce what we call the Independent Internal Security Conduct Authority.
Okay.
To coordinate all activities of security operatives wherever they are. They must all be operating from one hymn book or singing from one hymn book. So security operatives are not clashing with each other and some making comments that will show you where power lies. Those things. So the new legislation is to take care of that.
Right. Quite a number of itinerary for you.
Yes, they're very importantly. The Attorney General is ready with the legislation on the Code of Conduct of Public Officers. There's been a real push for the Code of Conduct statutory legislation, which will affect even the declaration of assets. That when assets are declared by public officers, should they be publicized? Should they be advertised? Should they be... So this legislation is going to clarify that.
Okay.
Then we also intend to review the CI 47, which is the civil procedural rules governing the work of lawyers at the High Court especially. There have been so many amendments. We think that it's time to consolidate it and issue a new procedure code for it.
Right.
So that is where we are.
Okay. Let's stay a while in Parliament. We know that one of your colleagues was arrested in the Netherlands just last week. You say that you were the first person he contacted.
Is that Ivan?
No, this is Kenneth.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay. You are beginning to sound like Evan.
Anyway, so you say that you were the first MP that he contacted. We understand that he's scheduled to reappear in court on Thursday. What more do we know? Do you have any more details about his well-being and his court appearance for tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm not aware that he's appearing in court tomorrow. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's not a reappearance. The preliminary hearings regarding whether or not the Dutch government should extradite him to the U.S. will comment. And so documents have been prepared to aid the defense of that. If that is happening tomorrow, you are now telling me I am not aware. I'm in constant touch with
right.
from Hague. But if you are picked up intelligence that is happening tomorrow, that is fine. So if according to you it's happening tomorrow, then it means that the preliminary hearing may start tomorrow. But we think that he has enough good case to be able to make for. You see, the threshold for making that determination is pretty high. I'm told in Holland, that is the Dutch government, that it's lower in England, but it is pretty high in Holland.
Okay.
And so if you don't tick certain boxes among the checklist, then the extradition may not happen. We think that we are working enough to be able to forcefully resist the extradition process. But let's see how it goes tomorrow, because tomorrow may not be the final day for the hearing.
Okay.
But let me use your medium to urge every Ghanaian that this process, this extradition process, has been visited or even president, sitting heads of sovereign states, General Pinochet, president of Chile. He was traveling through London to seek his freedom. So it's happened to other high-ranking officers of other nations. And we shouldn't go on social media and wish our brother well. I think that everybody should pray for him so that we can advance good reasons why he should be returned. We have a consulate here. We relate with them well. They should come and let's engage. If the grounds are such that the other processes will be triggered.
Right. Mr. Dafeamekpor, others are also arguing that this is a huge embarrassment for Ghana as a sovereign country for one of our legislators to be arrested in another sovereign state. When I spoke to you earlier when he was arrested, he did indicate that Parliament was not even informed of this ahead of time. As a House, when you reconvene, what steps would you take on this to ensure that he's not extradited to the United States, as many are suspecting?
Now, Parliament is only an organ of state.
Okay.
So the meaning is that we are a component of the composite government. So Parliament on its own cannot flex its muscles. It's only the government who are government or the state who are state that can resist this extradition. Now, that having been said, I intend to make a major statement on the floor tomorrow when we resume in respect of, in fact, two things. We'll be engaging the House tomorrow. A statement on this one, and then a statement on the xenophobic attacks on Ghanaians in South Africa. So, but predominantly, this will concern a lot of MPs.
Okay.
And because this can happen to any MP. Imagine that you get to Togo, and the Republic of Togo says, I have a warrant of your arrest on behalf of the Republic of Benin, of a colleague MP. And so they are going to impound you. It means they are going to restrain you from further movement. That is what has happened to my brother Oke. And this warrant was issued on 26th of April, so 3 weeks old. And as we speak, Parliament has still not been formally informed, either by the American Embassy here or the American government or government. And I can bet you that even the government as government of the state, there's no official communication. If there were any official communication, I believe the Parliament Speaker would have been copied or would have been informed that we have received this notification from the government of the United States of America. So people are creating this sort of arrest with the corporal from Ashama police station will go and arrest somebody and say, I'm placing you under arrest, and so you are under arrest because of ABCD. No.
Right.
It's arrest and there is an arrest.
Is that not a disrespect to us as a country? Because even here at Joy News, we also wrote letters and emails to the Department of Justice in the United States. They replied simply, no comment. And now you're confirming to us that even the government has not been informed.
And I'm happy that this is you are making this public. So when I said that OK was simply arrested, restrained, and taken away and placed in custody, and he was only told that we are arresting you because there's a warrant issued by the U.S. for arrest. As for the reasons, we don't know. That government, we don't know. People thought that I was concealing facts and that I knew. I didn't know, and he doesn't know. Perhaps it is tomorrow, like you are suggesting, if the hearing is truly tomorrow, it is at tomorrow that he may be told why he's being impounded and why the preliminary hearing is taking place. So this is a gang-ho tactics. I've told you that a sitting sovereign had been arrested that way. He had to go all the way from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. So if you Google Pinochet 1, Pinochet 2, Pinochet 3, it will give you some basis. Julian Assange, the owner of WikiLeaks, when he was releasing information that was hurting the U.S., they issued a warrant for his arrest. When they tried to arrest him, he moved into a neighboring embassy. That's a consulate.
In London.
In London. He remained there for 6 years.
Okay.
For 6 years.
Right. Let's talk about...
So the things may seem simplistic, but they are not simple.
Okay. Let's talk about another...
This is a very complex... I told you that I've done extradition here before. Ghana arrested Blake Guje in 2012. And because it was based on a request by the Ivorian government to extradite him because he was an opposition leader. We went to court for 2 months. Eventually, he was extradited, but it took an elaborate process for that to happen.
Indeed.
So we are praying that they should allow the legal processes to be initiated, and let's see how it benefits our brother. Everybody should pray for him.
Let's talk about another pending issue in Parliament. Somewhere last year, we had one MP refer to Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings as daughter of a murderer. The Speaker of Parliament gave that MP the chance to, own up and face the possible punishment. Up till now, we still do not know who called her the daughter of a murderer. As a Majority Chief Whip, do you have an idea who did that?
No, we have deployed all the cameras to be able to fish out who this person was. But the cameras failed us. So let me give you the background on how this happened. This happened on the floor, but the person didn't speak into the mic. He yelled across the aisle, and when that happens, and you don't speak into the mic, your name is not recorded. So you may have to rely on cameras covering the event. So if all the cameras, because the statement was there was somebody on the floor on our side who was contributing to a statement. And so the cameras were focused on that person. Both cameras of Parliament and cameras of media houses accredited to cover events. And then this came from the other side out of the blue. So unless somebody had his personal camera on the person, there was no way this will be captured. Now, that's why the Speaker said they were giving the person to honor voluntarily so that his sins can be forgiven. It hasn't happened. So it's a very difficult situation for Parliament. It's not as if Parliament is aware and we have refused to take measures or take disciplinary measures. The evidence has not been, we have not been able to procure the evidence. So it's one of the loopholes we have detected that we need 2 standby cameras that will always focus on the chamber from the east and the west. They won't focus on anybody, but just general activities on the floor. So that if there's a need for cameras to be focused on, we can then go to that camera and capture that and focus on it. Because no camera particularly focused on the person. He appears to have escaped. But you see, time is not a friend of man. one day this person may own up. And we'll have the opportunity to do with the person. But if anybody has an evidence of whoever said this, there are suggestions. People heard voices, familiar voices. But you see, if you want to take disciplinary action, you need material evidence. You cannot assume that I heard your voice and therefore it was you. If the person says I'm not the one, it becomes your word against or her. So Parliament has been incapacitated in dealing with this matter for lack of evidence of detecting who actually killed a daughter of a murderer.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that yourself?
So I was on the floor.
Oh, okay.
I was on the floor. I gave the floor. I indicated who was to speak next.
I don't want you to mention names, but you know a lot of their voices. You're familiar with them. Do you have any idea in mind who it could have been?
We actually know the zone where it came from, but there were 3-4 MPs congregated around that zone.
That means it's between them.
How are you going to do that? Because technically it came from the minority side. It came from the third row. And we know the MPs who were congregated around that area of the third row.
Who were they?
Who were they?
Yeah.
I don't want to mention anybody's name and the person will be offended because I cannot zoom in, I cannot zero in. Because once you speculate, it means you may be defaming the person. But we know, we have the video of how many of them were standing there before the words were uttered. But once you cannot zoom in terms of whose mouth it came from, it's difficult for me to mention that. But they know themselves. And we have been telling them that you know who said this.
Okay.
So that's by. But there's another matter that I thought that should attract your attention as well. The minority leader, the Honorable Abronye, was referred to the Privileges Committee for bringing the name of Parliament into disrepute at the ECOWAS Parliament. And that motion was moved by my boss, the Honorable Mahama Yariga, and Parliament adopted it and referred it. I think you should be interested in the outcome of that hearing as well.
We are.
Shouldn't you?
We are indeed. Thank
you very much.
The one that he did not obey Parliament's orders not to attend the ECOWAS Parliament.
Thank you very much. I think you should pry into that matter as well.
Yeah. Do you know the outcome?
You should be asking me, then I'll answer you.
Yes. So I'm asking you now. Okay. What's the outcome?
Okay. The outcome is that the committee is still working, and very soon a report will be brought to the plenary.
What has taken the committee so long?
Well, I believe that, the chairman is the first deputy speaker. And, in the absence of the speaker, he does a lot of work on behalf of the speaker. So, but meanwhile, statutorily, he chairs the Privileges Committee. So, he may have contributed to the delay. But there will be a report soon.
We're expecting that report and also the report from the committee that was set up to investigate the chaos.
The committee that look into the violence regarding the vetting of my ministers on that day. That report is ready.
Okay.
It's relayed. It's been advertised several times to be taken. And so I believe that once we are back, it will be done.
Right. Well, the minority is also raising concerns. They say that the current administration is trying to stifle free speech regarding the arrest of several members affiliated to their party, including the Bono Regional Chairman of the NPP, Abronye DC. They say that it's a matter that they are likely to raise in Parliament when it resumes. Is this something you are willing to debate on, the majority?
As for debate, Parliament will live for debate. We live for debate. We prepare for debate. We come to Parliament for debate. It's a deliberative forum. So any matter you bring, we will debate it.
Do they have the case?
Let me ask. How old are you?
Okay. I can't tell you.
That.
Okay.
In 2003, the great Jerry Rawlings, the founder of the Fourth Republic, his courtesies as a former head of state. They were withdrawn because the government said he was talking too much. He was bashing them. Those were the terms. They withdrew his courtesies. Do you know what those courtesies were? He couldn't use the VVIP lounge at the airport. He couldn't be met by diplomatic missions anytime he visited other countries. Why? Because they said he was talking too much. He was being critical of the then Akufo government. I am not the one speaking. These are records 23 years ago. The people who are complaining, they visited this on Jerry Rollins. Not me, not me, Dafeamekpor, small boy. A man who governed this country for nearly 20 years. They said he was being critical of their government. So they disciplined him, as it were. The people who are complaining, they did this 23 years ago. Let me ask you, Akufo-Addo, he was on bail and he went to criticize government. They arrested him. Do you know Akufo-Addo, a lawyer?
I do.
Good. He criticized the government. By then he was on bail for standing trial in some treason charges that had been leveled against him. But he was lucky after so many attempts he got bail. When he came out on bail, he came to criticize government. They re-arrested him. In fact, they arrested him, leveled different charges against him before a court of law. When the court was told that he was already on bail from another court, the court remanded him. What did the NDC do? He wasn't even a member of the NDC. What did we do? We criticized the decision. We said it was unfair. That was all we said. Akufo-Addo himself said it was unfair. He remained in custody. We didn't insult the court. We didn't insult the judges. We didn't say that we will not respect the court. So people shouldn't think that these are strange things happening. Anytime the NDC suffered this, we respected the court's decision. We took other judicial steps to remedy the situation.
Okay.
If Afenyomakin was aggrieved by a decision of a circuit court, is my study mate in law school. We graduated together. We qualified together. We were called to the bar together.
Okay.
And we have practiced. We have remained in practice for the past 16 years together. We are robust at the bar. We are robust in Parliament. We are leaders in Parliament. He told us in 2024 that when the court makes a decision and you are aggrieved, don't criticize the court. Take remediable steps to remedy the situation. Your rights under law can be accepted. But he crossed the line.
Okay.
He crossed the line. So it is the opposition that is creating their own problem.
Right.
The government is not interested in arresting anybody for speaking freely. After all, the latinity of law is that your right ends where another man's nose begins.
Right.
So you may have a free speech, but it's subjective. If you have a right to free speech, and you speak and you defame me, I'll take action. If you tell lies against me, I'll take action. If you say things that borders on criminality, the state will react.
Okay, right. Rockson-Nelson Dafeamekpor, thank you very much. He's the Majority Chief Whip in Parliament. I still have Dr. Draman with me. He is with ASEPA. You've been listening to the Majority Chief Whip. He was being a bit defensive when I asked him about the chaos that ensued, which he played a part in, and the subsequent suspension. Does that paint a picture of how defensive and dismissive these MPs can be when it comes to matters relating to them?
Well, I mean, I think it's a very difficult question for me to answer. Maybe we should have put that question directly to him in terms of why that defensive posture. But Kenneth, let me say this. I mean, I just picked one or two things from your interaction with him, particularly related to the honorable member who is in custody in
Netherlands.
Holland. Yes, I think it speaks volumes about how foreign powers, how much they trust our government and our systems, particularly the judicial process. Because, it beats my mind, and, you raise it in your conversation. Why, our institution, the legislative body, was bypassed by the Americans. Why this warrant was issued in April, but our government was not informed. I think it tells a lot about, how much distrust I think exists in terms of the way we do things in this country. So I hope Parliament will really maybe get the Americans to come and answer and tell us, if there are things that our country is not doing right. Because if it were another country, I believe they would have informed the authorities and they would have trusted that the right thing would have been done, and this person who is an MP wouldn't be treated as somebody who is above the law.
Right.
Now, in terms of what is coming, I think one of the things that I didn't hear from the leader is the elephant in the room, the family values bill. Yeah, I think that is something that everybody is looking forward to hearing how Parliament is going to deal with it and how we are going to see its finality and how it's going to move from Parliament to the presidency and what would eventually happen. And then most importantly, as you are showing on your screen, I think the issue of absenteeism is also going to be one that we would keep an eye on.
Yeah.
If you look at the data, we have done some collation here at our center. I think the level of absenteeism for both parties, I think, is hovering around 80% during the last meeting. We just released a report to the media this afternoon. And even amongst independent members, I think it's hovering around 70%. This is a big matter for concern. And I think the two leaders, the two whips, would have to get to work to ensure that, you don't bring us visuals that show an empty chamber. Whatever the issues are, if there are other meetings, committee and other engagements that conflict with what we see every day on the screen, I think they have to address those issues so that these conflicts are avoided and members of Parliament show up and work. It's in their own interest.
Right.
And I think it's in the interest of making sure that trust is restored.
We often see that it's usually the party in government whose MPs are very recalcitrant when it comes to going to Parliament. Is that what your new information points to?
Well, yes, whilst there is, the NDC, especially because of their numbers, I think is number one in terms of guilt of absenteeism. I think the opposition is also guilty. Like I was saying, I think the numbers are not significantly different in terms of, when we track, MPs who are absent on the floor of the House in the last meeting.
Right. Okay. I would want us to end with the MP who has, been detained in the Netherlands. Really, Parliament is not aware, the executive is not aware, no official communication whatsoever. So what options are available for us as a country? Can we summon the acting U.S. ambassador to Parliament? Can he be summoned by the Foreign Affairs Minister to come and answer questions? What really can we do, you think?
I think, like the leader said, I think, our country, the spokes ministry for our country is a foreign ministry. So I believe maybe the foreign minister can seek answers in terms of why this is so. But many people suspect that, the Americans did this because if they had elected the government of Ghana, maybe this MP would have been protected. And so that raises a very fundamental question about, the rule of law in our country, but also in other African countries.
Right.
Are we living by the true dictates of the fact that nobody is above the law. And I think if we're able to answer that question, perhaps in future, maybe our system will be trusted that if this case is handed over to the system, at least the right things will be done. We are not saying that, our MPs or, even ordinary Ghanaians should be, locked up unlawfully. But where there is a case to answer, particularly, involving a high-profile person like an MP, nobody should, do anything to protect such a personality, because it sends a very bad signal in terms of, our democracy and the whole, regime of rule of law.
Right. Dr. Rashid Draman, thank you very much. He's the Executive Director at ASEPA. Let's bring you politics this afternoon, because the opposition NPP has expressed concern over the alleged refusal by officials of the Bureau of National Investigations to bring the party's Bono Regional Chairman to court, leaving party leaders worried about his current condition. The General Jurisdiction Division of the Accra High Court today adjourned hearing of a bail application filed on behalf of the outspoken regional chairman to tomorrow for further arguments. Speaking to journalists at the premises of the court, the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kodu-Afrimpong, expressed concern over the handling of the case. Fatou Bayaga was at the High Court and reports.
The New Patriotic Party members arrived in court hopeful that their bail application challenging the Circuit Court's decision to remand the party's outspoken Bono Regional Chairman into custody would be heard. However, the prosecution prayed the court for an adjournment to enable it to familiarize itself with the application to file an appropriate response. The applicants opposed the application, describing it as unnecessary and out of order. The prosecution, however, maintained that it needed time to consult investigators to enable it properly respond to the application. The court subsequently granted the request and adjourned the hearing to tomorrow. The NPP, however, expressed dissatisfaction with the handling of the case. Justin Kodu-Afrimpong is General Secretary.
After some few minutes, our lawyer, Kojo Oponkoma, told us that, surprisingly, the case has been moved from where officially it was allocated to a different court, to our dismay. And indeed, as at Friday, we are aware that the docket was sent to the criminal court too. So as to why the case was moved to a different court is something that is mind-boggling. And we are aware it's part of the gymnastics by the system to frustrate the bail application. But be as is made, the registrar, Somutu, decided to move the case to a different court with the excuse that it was an error.
He also expressed disappointment over the alleged refusal to bring Abronye to court today.
So, unfortunately, they didn't bring Chairman Abronye to the court. And we are very worried as to his current health status because we didn't see him. So it's something that I wanted to be on record, that we came to the court, we didn't see our chairman at the court today.
Meanwhile, the Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Haruna Mohammed, says Ghana's democracy is heading down a dangerous path amidst the continuous harassment of opposition members.
You see, what we are doing in this country, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. Else, this is going to endanger the peace that we are all trying to protect. This is not the democracy we handed over to His Excellency the President. And I don't think that they are right to Abronye. But lo and behold, the judge was very firm. The judge said that, okay, you're asking for 3 days. Go and study the matter and come back tomorrow.
The case is expected to resume tomorrow as both parties prepare to argue the bail application before the court. Reporting for Joy News from the Accra High Court, I'm Fatou Bayaga.
Well, let's bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the opposition NPP, Haruna Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, welcome to the program. Your party, the NPP, has always accused the government of being behind these arrests. Is this a sentiment you also share?
Yes, that has been our position. because of the attitude and the pattern in which these arrests are being made.
Right. You were in court today. What really happened?
Actually, what happened in court today was that, as the General Secretary has reported, we went to court knowing very well that we were going to the criminal division to have our case heard, only to be informed by our lawyers that the case has been changed to the General Jurisdiction Court 2. When we got to the court, we went before the judge. There were one or two issues the judge had to go in and come out. When the judge came out and the case was called, the judge was ready to hear everybody. Then one of the state attorneys got up and spoke on behalf of the Attorney General, on the instructions of the Attorney General, to ask for stay, specifically to do consultation, not to even investigate. They said consultation.
Okay.
And this particular matter and the use of the word consultation was something everybody in the courtroom was very surprised. They were of the view that they need 3 more days, because when the judge queried them, they said they need 3 more days. But our lawyer, who was sitting in the case, for that matter, the former Attorney General, said that no, he doesn't think that this is the right process. And the client of ours, that is Kwame Abronye, has been in their custody for all that period, and we served them notice for 6 clear days, which is enough, because we sent them the notice on the 14th, and they have our clients in their custody. And they did investigations before they said that they need to remand him. And to tell us today that you need to do consultation with investigators, on what again when you have him? This is not the first time Abronye went to the court. This is not the first time. You arrested him, we came for bail, and then he reappeared before the court, and you gave a condition that is not even acceptable in law. How can you say that when you release the person, you go and make the same statement? It is going to strengthen your own case, because that particular stand of the court cannot withstand the test of time. They are trying to delay the process. So they needed 3 days. And then the lawyer said that, how do you need 3 days on a matter that it is in your hands? We should proceed to have the case being heard. So the judge in her ruling said that, well, considering the health status of Abronye and his personal liberty, the case needed to proceed. So if they are asking for time, she has given them today to study it and come before her tomorrow for the case to begin. And this clearly shows how unprepared this government is. They are ready to persecute, but not ready to prosecute. If they were ready to prosecute, they would have proceeded in court for us to prosecute the matter, but not to delay the matter and persecute the matter. And that further strengthened the NPP's case of a government of persecution, a party of persecution, president of persecution, and the judiciary is being weaponized to use the judiciary to limit the talk of the opposition and to intimidate the opposition and make the opposition feel very uncomfortable in the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
In 2024, then President Akufo-Addo told France 24 that he is not responsible for prosecuting persons. It was on the back of the Fix the Country protesters who were arrested and remanded into police and prison custodies. So I'm surprised that you are blaming the president of prosecuting these people when we've had a former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, tell us that a president is indeed not in charge of prosecutions in the country.
Carlos, very excellent example. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo was talking in relation to Fix the Country, right? Fix the Country was not a political party. But this discussion we are having today is about political party. Sir Obama Pokwasi was arrested because of a social media comment. He belongs to the NPP party. Fancy Comedy is a member of our party. He was arrested. Baba Mando from the Bono region, the communication officer for our party for Sunyani East, was arrested. Prince Ofori, a member of our party, was arrested. Yaira Abeu was arrested. Emmanuel Kwachi, David Afo, Akufo-Addo, David Escando, the recent one, all of them are NPP people who were arrested. And in the process of dealing with this particular matter, we are seeing a certain pattern. And that pattern is very uncomfortable to us because it is the political parties involved. So if you are engaged in arresting your opponent's political party members, then it is questionable. The Attorney General made a statement referencing the national organizer of the NDP to Yoko on a matter related to Galamsey. The same force they used to arrest Oguntumi, they could have used that force and arrest the national organizer of the NDP. Because he is an NDP Ghanaian, he was so superior to an NPP Ghanaian. So they refused to do that to him. Because we have the famous Abronye one, where a judge in this country said that there is what we call animal kingdom, and not everybody is equal before the law. But the president is equal before the law. That's what the Constitution says. He went ahead to cite Idi Amin, an autocratic leader. Was there an inference to say that the president is autocratic? In this country, a judge made those particular statements. Then Akufo-Addo never made those particular statements. It was in relation to a certain movement which was not a political party, but the NDP is arresting NPP people, selecting who the law should affect and who the law should not affect. So should we sit down and wait? Because it is not me today, it is somebody else, then it should happen to everybody. No. That is why we are fighting, because we have always been the face setters of democracy in this country. And we respect the rule of law. We say fidelity to the law, but when the law is abused, we raise our hands and speak.
You've listed a number of MPP persons who have been arrested by this administration. Others will also argue that there was a number of NDC-affiliated individuals who were also arrested during your tenure at the MPP. So the big question is, what is going on? Is it tit for tat? Is it because you did it to the NDC when you were in government? That is why they are doing it to you? I'm basing this question on your own argument you're making right now.
Carlos, you see, in every government there will be arrest, but due process must be respected. There is no way arrest will not happen. We have people or persons in charge of our internal security, that is the police. We have the military. We have the national security. And the national security cannot make an arrest without the police. So that is why any national security attachment, there is a police officer or police officers assigned to them. So there will always be arrest once crimes continue to be committed. But let me ask you, do we have Dumso or not? Dumso came back to this country. Somebody went and wrote, Dumso is back. You go and arrest the person with a heavy security, 20 with weapons. Is that allowed? Is that how we should have our state? A member of parliament who is the ranking member on security and justice, they went and covered his house with security mask. Is that how the MPP was arresting people? If you want to arrest and prosecute, don't persecute. That is what we want them to know.
Haruna, this is Kenneth, by the way. We also understand that the health of Abronye has been deteriorating while he is still in BNI custody. Do you have an update on how he's doing?
Well, the last time I went to Abronye was 3 or 4 days ago with the General Secretary. The report he gave us was that we all know that he sought for permission and went and had operations outside the country. And you know, when you get operations, you go through surgery. So after going through the surgery and returned to Ghana, he went to court after 2 days of his return. He was given drugs to take. And you know, when you go through surgery, you need to heal. So those drugs that they gave him to take, upon his detention by the Circuit Court 9, which the famous Circuit Court 9, which have been detaining people on the whims of caprices of discretion, he went to the place without his drugs. And he has not been taking the drugs up to today. So only God knows the condition of Abronye. Because if you are not being taken through the healing process, then we would need a specialized physician to check the health condition of Abronye. And the public should note, Abronye did not have the surgery in Ghana. He had the surgery outside the country. So if there was a specialist for that particular matter, Abronye wouldn't have gone out. So it means that Abronye has to be given access to health condition research so that Abronye will be looked at and be certified to us and tell us how the condition of Abronye. So until then, I as a layman cannot tell you the condition of Abronye. But this must be done by a certified physician who should be able to tell. But you should know that if somebody is gone through surgery and you don't take your drug, if something else can happen. And if Abronye, anything happens to him, we'll charge the security officers for murder.
What's the next line of action for the NPP?
We'll be in court tomorrow. We'll argue our case before her ladyship and we'll have our case heard. Whatever the outcome is, our lawyers will advise the direction we have to go. But this is not going to deter us. We are going to continue this case. We'll follow and use every legal process to get Abronye out of where he is.
Right, Haruna Mohammed there is the Deputy General Secretary of the Opposition NPP. Thank you very much. Let's bring you more stories this afternoon because the Attorney General, Dominic Ayine, has condemned threats by the NPP to make Ghana ungovernable. The NPP National Youth Organizer Mustafa Salam warned on Tuesday that the party could take actions that will make the country, quote, extremely ungovernable if what it describes as harassment and intimidation of its members continue. Speaking to journalists at the Public Accounts Committee, Dr. Ayine rejected claims that free speech is under attack and said the NPP's threats must be treated with the contempt they deserve.
The Attorney General, in responding to the number of issues raised by the NPP in recent time with regards to the arrest and detention of party faithfuls, first took on the assertion that freedom of speech is under attack under the John Mahama government. He insists that although he cherishes or appreciates the relevance of free speech in our democracy, he will be the last person to allow people to take the law into their own hands in the name of free speech.
We do not expect that the minority will say that we should sit down idle as a government and allow that person to go on, because those are some of the things that led to wars in countries such as Rwanda. We have not gotten there. Okay, but it was the use of the radio, okay, the use of the media, that incited the genocide that eventually took place in Rwanda. So there are limits to free speech, and I will say that the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is one of the staunchest supporters of free speech, because he himself, is a communicator he's a communication specialist. I don't want to say he was a journalist, all right, but he was into communication, and so he understands the importance of free speech in a democratic society.
Responding directly to the threats by the youth organizer of the party, Mustafa Salam, who threatened that they will make the country extremely ungovernable if these activities do not stop, he said that threat must be treated with the contempt that it deserves.
As Attorney General, I do understand the importance of free speech in a democratic society, and I would be the last person, okay, to want to end run the rights of our citizens to freely express themselves. But I should also not be the person who will sit idle when matters are being taken into citizens are taking matters into their hands when it comes to free expression. Well, as for the threat of arming themselves and making the country ungovernable, I think I will treat it with the contempt it deserves. Okay, but as far as this government is concerned, I want to reiterate that we will respect the rights and freedoms of every Ghanaian. It's very interesting when statements like that are being made, that we are doing this because oral is failing. Oral is not failing. All right, go back and check the records. I am the first Attorney General in the history of the Fourth Republic to have brought 5 corruption cases in 1 year. Go back and check the records. And what is happening in court now is rather putting pressure on them because they know that I have been so diligent in my investigations, I have been so diligent in the prosecutions that they are afraid that their people will go to jail for the acts of corruption that they engage in. And so the accusation that we are shifting focus away from oral is not something that I will pay heed to, because oral is on track and oral is going to succeed.
Now back to the reason he had to appear before the Public Accounts Committee. The 68.7 billion special audit report indicated that the AG's department raised a claim of some 33 million Ghana cedis, out of which the Finance Ministry approved some 25 million Ghana cedis. The rest, over 7 million cedis, was rejected. Now, part of that 7 million was a bank transaction advisory of some 780,000 Ghana cedis. The AG himself, Dr. Dominic Ayine, then took on the auditors, indicating that they had met them on meetings and indicated their position on the matter. And so he finds it quite ridiculous that they will go ahead to still indicate in this report when the matter, according to him, has been settled with the auditors and the Finance Ministry.
I think part of the problem, and I'm putting this on record, because we've had to deal with issues of enforcement of surcharges and disallowances. And we are running into problems because most of the time the auditors do not consult MDAs before they put out figures. In this particular instance, we met with them at the Ministry of Finance. I led the team. We gave all the explanations necessary. So for them to now put it in the public accounts, in the audited accounts or the report of the Auditor General, and for me to leave my ministry and the heavy load of work that I have to do to come here and appear before this committee, I think it's grossly unacceptable. It's grossly unacceptable because we are having issues, the similar issues with other MDAs that I'm currently stuck with disallowances and surcharges that I can't enforce. So I think it is important that at least they should consult, with the MDAs before they put out matters in the public accounts, the report of the Auditor General. We appeared before the Minister of Finance, and your good selves were represented. And we gave an explanation and gave you the supporting documentation. So if you escalate it to the level of putting it in your report as if some wrongdoing has occurred, that is where I have a problem. And the Public Accounts Committee is supposed to, make public entities accountable, and you don't hold anyone accountable when they have done the right thing, or an explanation has been given that is acceptable either in law or in accordance with accountancy practices. That is where I have the problem.
The day proceeded with meetings with the senior high schools who had some infractions. The headmistress of Suhum Girls SHS explained how she had to resort to threats and even involve the police to redeem some over 30,000 Ghana cedis paid to 2 separate employees of the school who earned these salaries unduly.
Eric Nyakon resigned. He was a kitchen staff. And then when he resigned, that very month, I didn't validate. I also wrote to the bank to embargo his salary. But unfortunately, the bank didn't take action, so the money went into it. And immediately, I called him on phone and he came. And he gave me a very flimsy excuse, so I quickly called the police commander to come and pick him up. He said he wasn't going to pay. And I asked him why. He said when he came, he served the government for over 5 years. He never received salary. That is why when the money came, he took it. So until government pays him that 5 years he owed before he received the letter, he wasn't going to pass. Okay. So you should have gone through a process to alert the government that he owed you when you were here as a worker. You can't leave before you ask government to pay you what he owed you over 10 years. So I asked the police commander to pick him up, and he sold his cow and paid.
He sold his cow?
Cow, yeah, he had a cow, so he sold it. I told them not to release him until he paid. He actually paid. And then, as for Emmanuel Obri, he has to pay. Then, as for Emmanuel Obri, he was a teacher. We vacated on August 24th that year. And he had marked his scripts and brought. In September, he came to fail all the reports. So it assumed that he was around, and I validated him for August, and then also in September. But then when we reopened in October, he didn't come. Then when we followed, we realized that he had not been around before we resumed. So it means he didn't deserve to take September. But for August, I can't say no. I think the auditors know up to 24th he's entitled to it. So I made my accountant to look for him, and we're told he had traveled. So I traced, and I was directed to his father-in-law. So I went and told the father-in-law that I needed to get in touch with him. So he was, Madam Obatimi, we need, Madam Sister Owareoba. So your wife would have benefited from the money. And so the man quickly now called him, and we took the contacts. And I told him to pay. So he told me the money was in his account. He was in US. I said, find a way to pay. He said he couldn't get access to it. And then I used my own ways and took it. So he's paid all.
Mr. Chair, this is the woman cane. I mean, woman power.
That's
when women are. That's your name, right?
That's how the students call me.
Yes, when women are given the chance to be in authority, things run well. Yes. Auditors, kindly confirm what she just said.
Honorable Chair, we can confirm what she has said. The amount has been settled. Thank you.
The committee sitting still continues with the senior high schools for today, as the district assemblies would also be appearing before the committee to justify their expenditure, as well as how they use the district assemblies common fund in their various assemblies. From Aqua Safari here in Adan, I am James Savaji for Joy News.
And back here in Accra, we take a quick break. We'll be back with more.
Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy, chocolatey, frothy goodness, rich taste, so satisfying.
Cadbury goodness, the treats you deserve every day.
From Africa to football's biggest stage, you are invited to be a part of it. Feel the rush, the passion of every moment. Don't just watch the game. Live the FIFA World Cup experience. With VIP seatings, exclusive lounges, gourmet dining, priority access at every turn, luxury all around you. Seamless, effortless. exceptional. Because this is more than a ticket. This is your FIFA World Cup 2026 experience. Brought to you by Match Experience Hospitality. Call 055 155 1119 or visit matchexphospitality.com to secure your packages or walk into any Absa Bank branch, our official banking partner, for more information and payment.
Welcome back. Choral music is often seen as old-fashioned in a generation driven by fast-paced contemporary sounds. But for Evelyn Ampa, it is a world she continues to hold on to after growing up in a family deeply rooted in chorals. In searching for why this music still matters, she discovers a deeper connection to history, identity, and belonging. Here is her story titled Born in Harmony.
This question comes to me more often than I expected. What exactly do I find in choral music? Sometimes it's said jokingly, sometimes out of curiosity, and sometimes it is said in a way that makes me feel like I need to explain myself. Because to many of my friends, this is music they associate with older people, church services, funerals, with something slow and distant from the world we live in now. And yet, this is where I keep returning.
Some people discover music later in life, but for me, music was already waiting even before I understood it. I was born into a family where choral music wasn't just something we listened to, it was something we lived. I grew up hearing rehearsals at home, watching my family sing, and then I fell in love with choral music, and even today, I sing. Guide me, O the great Jehovah.
I'm growing in a time where music moves quickly, where songs become popular overnight and disappear just as fast, where attention is everything and silence is almost uncomfortable. So choosing something that does not follow that rhythm can feel like choosing to stand apart. And sometimes I do feel that difference. Because when people ask why I'm still holding on to choral music, what they're really asking is why I'm choosing something that does not follow with the times. So I begin to look for answers, not just in what I feel, but in the people who have stayed with this music long before me. People like Dr. James Farikamal, who has spent most of his life in choral music.
Choral music gives me the peace I want. It is the most peaceful music. It is the most work with advanced literature and a lot of things. So being a child, I learned so much from it, and I've always been glued to it. That's why I'm still in choral music.
Now, peace is not the first thing that most young people look for in music. But listening to him, I begin to understand why it really matters. Because choral music does not overwhelm you. It settles you, and it gives you something steady to hold on to. For others like Kwame Baffoe Jr., it's not just about the feeling, but it's also about the discipline that comes with it.
Choral music, I think, demands a lot in terms of learning. So you are made to learn every little thing that has to do with music, because you have to read music to be able to do choral music. And so there's nobody who can be in choral music without learning the rudiments of music and grow with it.
And then there are people like Leslie, whose journey in choral music did not begin with certainty.
Like, I didn't want to join. They would destroy my voice. So my auntie came to convince me because she too, she was a soprano at that time. So I joined a choir at church. I don't regret because I learned a lot. It has opened, I think, a way for me to be a better singer.
Choral music is not standing still, and the more I stay in it, the more I see how young musicians are reshaping it, taking it beyond church spaces and introducing it to audiences in ways that were not common before. But to understand why this music has lasted this long, I have to go beyond the present and look at where it all began. People like Dr. Benjamin Amachi-Boateng help explain that history.
Before the whites came, we already had our traditional songs, which were performed by groups, especially when you go to the village areas. We had a way of singing our own songs, which is choral, is still choral. But if you talk about formalizing, maybe writing it out as people define choral music as music that is written out, then you can say that yes, is the whites who brought it during the time of colonization.
But this did not start today. Ghanaian composers like Ephraim Amu, Kobna Nketia, and Ken Kafui made sure this music would not just sound Western, but would carry our language, our stories, and our identity.
The difference at the point was that we had to introduce our language into it. So the style is Western, the body is Western, but the text is local. Combining these two, I want to write in both feet, Western, African. I don't want to throw away my Africanness.
Despite all this depth, the question still remains. People often say choral music is for older people.
It's because the devices, the elements used to compose such music are very tough and strong. The melody, the harmony, the lyrics, everything that goes into it, the development is very hardcore. So it's very difficult to break it. When it comes to our choral music, very powerful, even high-life music. When you sing them, you see that you've sung a whole subject. I mean, it covers a whole sermon. You feel like, oh, everything that I wanted to say has been covered.
If choral music is going to grow beyond what it is now, then it cannot be left to survive on passion alone. It needs deliberate support, investment, and it needs recognition as part of Ghana's cultural identity.
If our state institutions could just be a little interested in finding out more about choral music, as you are doing, I think we'll go far. We will discover a lot and we'll see how to stay up there on the continent, in the world. We can promote Ghana music.
So when they say choral music is for older people, I do not disagree with them. I just know that I found it early and I'm choosing to stick with it. Evelyn Ampa, Joy News, Accra.
A very beautiful report from Evelyn Ampa. Now let's shift our focus to some outstanding change makers honored at the 2026 Joy News Impact Makers Awards for their transformative work in health, women empowerment, education, and rural development. In the health category, Dr. Amos Ando was recognized for turning his lived experience with sickle cell disease into a powerful national advocacy movement, driving awareness, genotype education, and conversations around treatment support for sickle cell warriors across Ghana. Also honored was Isabella Akwabwa in the Health and Women Empowerment category for advancing menstrual equity through the Amazing Girls Foundation, which reached more than 6,000 girls and women in 2025 while promoting the local production of reusable menstrual kits. And in education and WASH, Dr. Senyo Success Gomita was celebrated for his extensive work in building schools, providing boreholes, expanding the NHIS coverage to more than 40,000 people, and leading mobile medical outreach programs in rural communities across the country. Thank you very much for joining me in studio, Amos, and to the lady and gentleman also joining via video link. I want to start with the lady because, of course, they say ladies first. What inspired you to do what you do, which has landed you this recognition?
Okay, so I had a challenge with my menstrual health, and also I've been teaching for the past 15 years. Seeing the girls missing school, there are a lot of absenteeisms. Then I decided to take this challenge upon myself to go out there and support women and girls with their menstrual health. You can never tell the number of girls going through similar challenges I was going through. Therefore, founding Amazing Girls Foundation.
Interesting. And through the Amazing Girls Foundation, you have reached thousands of girls and women with menstrual health support. What challenges continue to stand out in those communities that you serve?
Okay, so the challenges, we have a lot of challenges, but the challenges have to do with reaching the remote areas or the remote communities in the rural Ghana.
Right.
Because sometimes you need to cross river, a lot of challenges, lonely paths, a place you don't know, unknown situations. You need to take a motor. Some volunteers don't even have experience with river and they get so scared.
Right.
So with this, you need passionate volunteers to join your cause. Yeah, but generally it has to also do with funding. Yeah.
Okay, hold on for me. I'll come back to you. Let me come into the studio. I have Amos with me. Amos, I want to throw the same question to you.
Okay.
What inspired you to do what you do?
Okay, thank you for giving me the privilege. I'm a person living with sickle cell genotype SC. So as a person living with sickle cell and a journalist as well, I took that opportunity to also be heard about health when it comes to advocacy. So Amos is a sickle cell warrior who is a journalist as well. And you know journalists, ours is to inform and then to correct. So I noticed that sickle cell awareness in the nation is quite low, although we have a lot of NGOs doing their best. So as a journalist who is living with the condition itself, I wanted to use the medium of being a journalist to also create the awareness and to support people living with sickle cell across Ghana. In fact, when we formed the Focus on Sickle Cell Foundation, we have a lot of initiatives. The key one is the National Sickle Cell Fanfare, and then the policy influence to we've been able to influence policy like the newly initiated sickle cell treatment under the National Health Insurance Scheme, and then also we've written to the Ministry of Education and also Ghana Education Service, Parliament selected of Education, and also even the minority decks and the majority decks to also include sickle cell education in the national curriculum for the basic, JHS and the SHS students. So it's all about life experience and then living with the condition. It's a privilege for me to also add my voice to sickle cell talk when it comes to awareness.
I must say you're doing an amazing job because I have a friend who died of sickle cell not long ago, so I know how tough that can be. What are some of the challenges you face?
Okay, so as a sickle cell patient, sometimes, as you said, you have a bit fear in you that you may not live long, and then also the stigma attached to the condition, because we don't really have the strength to do whatever that the normal people will be doing. So even if you find yourself in a family where they don't really understand the concept or they don't really understand the condition itself, they see you as a lazy person. Sometimes your colleagues may not try to play with you because they know always you will be sick. So when they are even playing with you, you can't be counted. Some of them may say, if you touch me, you will die or something like that. And you know, one dangerous thing is that the community, especially the rural areas, they found sickle cell as a superstitious something that they associate with witchcraft and other things that we may know. So sickle cell disease itself, it comes with stigma. And also the medication. You know, medications like tramadol, morphine, pethidine, all these drugs are very hard. So if you don't take care and you've been taking this, because when the condition comes, especially with the rheumatism, they have to give you these medications for you to be okay. And then it is also stressing your kidney. So we have a lot of sickle cell patients who are on dialysis because of hard medication intake. And then also the condition itself comes with a lot of illness. As I said, the kidney issues, sometimes cardiac arrest, and then also stroke. You could see 3-year-old sickle cell patients having stroke. You see, and a lot of things. Sometimes even if you don't take it psychologically, the person may not sound well.
Right.
So this is sickle cell disease for you. One condition is calling a lot of diseases to the person because the cells itself is very low. And you see, ours, the cells is not normal as the AA people own. So our cells is more like a crescent shape or a banana shape. So the blood inflow is very low.
Right.
So anywhere that blood gets stuck in the body, if it happens at the leg or your arms, everywhere you get crisis. And then more importantly, for people living with sickle cell, especially the male, the SS type, you have SC, I'm SC, and you have SS type. The SS is very dangerous. So those living with the condition SS, sometimes you get something called priapism. The priapism is long erection that can stand about 7 to 8 hours. And it comes with pain. It's not easy. So sickle cell condition, I urge the youth to at least know your genotype and your partner's own so that you won't bring this whole thing that we are talking about to your child. Because once it's draining your financial strength, as a worker, you may not even earn more, but your child is sick each and every day, especially during this rainy season. It's not easy for some homes because they have a person living with sickle, so they have to be going to hospital each and every day. And when it's coming, it won't give any hint. You can get crisis in the morning, at dawn, in the afternoon, anywhere. So this is sickle cell for you. Yeah.
Right. Let me speak to Success. Success, before the award show, I remember speaking to you and you expressed your excitement. You were a man of many talents. You cut across education, healthcare, water, and so on. Which of these sectors do you think needs the most attention from government, from benevolent individuals, organizations, and what have you?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Once again, I must say I'm so excited to be part of the winners of the Joy News Impact Makers Awards 2026. It's been an amazing experience for me and recognition. Coming back to the sector that needs more attention from government and also from organizations across Ghana, I think water, clean water, will be the best thing to focus on in all directions, because there are many communities that are drinking filthy and polluted water. Next week, I will be having a commissioning at Yokutime. This is a village around Dwapon in the North Tonu district. And with this particular village, they are drinking from a dugout that was meant for cattle to drink from. And this dugout, when you see people collecting water from this dugout, you see that this water isn't for human consumption, because water is supposed to be colorless, but the water they are drinking is all green. These people are sharing this water with animals. And even you will see the cattle drinking while the human beings are also in the water fetching.
Right.
And it's so emotional to see such a scene. And that was what actually touched our hearts at Hope for Ghana, that we stepped in and then we brought them a borehole, which will be commissioning next week. And I think clean water is what we all as a nation have to focus on and tackle, so that every village will have clean water, because clean water gives health, it protects our health and dignity.
Isn't it ironic, success, that the most basic human need, clean water, 2026, some people do not even have it. But you've gone beyond clean water. You've helped thousands of people gain access to the National Health Insurance Scheme and so on. How has that helped those persons who hitherto were not even having access to that?
Thank you so much. We all will agree that when you get to the hospital with any ailment at all, the first thing the nurses or the health workers ask of is your health insurance. And without health insurance, you don't get access to the basic and critical health care at the hospital. So at Hope for Ghana, we thought it wise to give access to this basic health care through the National Health Insurance registrations and renewals. And over the past 5 years, we have served over 40,000 people. We have raised funds to pay for the registrations and for the renewals. And we are hoping to even serve hundreds of thousands of people in the coming years. And this is actually helping a lot. It is actually saving lives. There were many instances where people came up to us and said, I would have died if not for you helping me and my family with our national health insurance, because they visited the hospitals and they were actually asked to pay huge sums of money, but because they had their national health insurance cards with them, it was easier for them. Although not 100% of the cost is covered by health insurance, as we know in Ghana, but much of it was covered. So they were so grateful. They recognize it as a life-saving mission that we are embarking on.
Right, Isabella is still with us on the video link. Isabella, how important is the promotion of reusable menstrual kits, which you promote, in ensuring affordability and menstrual equity, you'd say?
Okay, so it's quite important because we have girls that they do not have even access, not to say they have the means. They do not have access. So we're reaching them with a reusable sanitary kit, then they could stay in school. We believe that when you give a girl power, then she has dignity, but then she should be present for it. So if the girl is not able to go to school, then where is her power? Therefore, that is what we are championing this. So it is very, very important we are reaching girls and women in the rural communities with these reusable sanitary products. And we don't only do the intervention. Amazing Girls Foundation, we also have a curriculum where we talk to the girls about the male and female anatomy, their bodies. You know, we have some women that other doctors and herbal doctors say that if you don't menstruate for the 7 days, you are prone to fibroid. So when we go to the communities, we tell them that every woman is different from everybody. And it's our hormones. So you do not need to menstruate for the whole of the 7 days, because we have some women that they are associating themselves with taking concussion, so many menstrual pains, medicine, and we are able to control this by reaching these girls with this education. So we are not only doing the intervention, but then we are also supporting them with the health education so that they know who they are and what they are supposed to take and what they are not supposed to take.
Well done for all you do for girls and women across the country. We know that when it comes to the menstrual cycle, there are some girls and women who cannot afford some of these sanitary pads and use very unhygienic sources like clothes and other sources of cotton which are not supposed to be used. What changes would you like to see in the national conversation around menstrual cycle?
Okay, so the change we want to say is that We will be happy if period poverty is going to be a thing of the past, whereby every girl, every woman in our rural communities have access to proper sanitary towel or proper sanitary products, and also the education that comes with it, so that their health will be improved. Because when the woman or the girl is associating her health to these rags and the toilet roll, it doesn't really sit well with them when it comes to their health, and they are prone to so many infections. Yeah, so we'll be happy if we are able to touch the whole rural communities in Ghana and even beyond, so that women have access to proper sanitary products. Yes.
Isabella Akwabwa, thank you very much for your time. Well, Amos is still with me in the studio. As I mentioned earlier, I can really relate to the issue because it's closer to home. What interventions would you want government to put in place to ensure that people like you and the ones you help will at least enjoy, an extended life on earth?
Okay, so now the government has initiated sickle cell treatment under the National Health Insurance Scheme. Although they are still on it for the phase one is the medication like hydroxyurea, folic acid, and other medication is still on the NHIS. And we are expecting the entire treatment to be part of the NHIS package. And then aside that, you see, there's nothing the government can do. When we put the treatment aside, what else can the government do? The government cannot hold us till a certain years to live. So what we are talking about is that we, the warriors, anytime we get a chance to share our story, you could see that any other sickle cell warrior wants to protect the unborn children. Because as at now, the Ministry of Health data shows that 18,000 babies are born annually living with sickle cell disease in Ghana. Is this not alarming? So I believe before love goes far, we should know our genotypes. And the love is not enough at all. So anytime we get a chance to talk to the fellow youths who are watching us, we say love is not enough. Before you love someone, before you say I do, let the person know that your genotype and yours are not compatible, or you people are not compatible. You shouldn't go forward, because you can help. When the crisis sets in, the pains alone, when your father or your parents, whoever, even the president of Ghana is right there with you, you won't even see it, because sickle cell pain, you can't compare it to any other pain. So we are urging the government, whilst this treatment now, they've covered hydroxyurea, folic acid, and some medications, we are expecting that even all the treatment, the entire treatment, meaning when the person is going to hospital, the bed that the person is going to lie on should be taken by the government under the National Health Insurance Scheme. The registration, the medication, everything should be covered by the National Health Insurance Scheme. And I believe Dr. Victor Asare-Bampo and his deputies, I mean the CEO of NHIS, they do better and they can do more than what we are seeing on the NHIS benefit package. So this is what we want the government to do. And aside that, Fossil Foundation have written a policy proposal to the government. As I said, we urge the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, to include sickle cell education in our national curriculum, which is the GHS and the SHS. We believe when we want to seize not continue to bring forth these children, awareness is very important. So the awareness, we should start from the children, and we call it catch them young approach. Because we believe when the children be aware of the condition, they won't continue to bring forth children like that. Because me, myself, I was 8 when I read about HIV/AIDS. So growing up, even sharp materials, I don't joke with it. Please do you understand me? Because education is the first medicine. Right. Education is the first medicine. So we are praying that the Ministry of Education will do the needful, the Parliament Selected of Education will do the needful, and even Ghana Education Service to help us to include sickle cell education in our national curriculum. And then also focus on Sickle Cell Foundation and NHIA, as well as the Ministry of Health. Next month, 19th June, happened to be the World Sickle Cell Awareness Day. So last year, we took it to the University of Education in the Central Region. This year, we are taking it to KNUST in the Ashanti region. We are praying that this initiative will help the youth. And we are also introducing free genotype awareness policy. Let us know your genotype. Right. Now, the newly Mahama Care free primary health care that they've launched, the Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, are doing their best to also bring forth all these education things to the people. And then also they've included newborn screening, where children which are newborn will get the screen, to know their genotype right away. We are praying that, why don't us also include the people living in sickle cell themselves with the treatment and the entire treatment, that as the person go to hospital, everything should be covered by the government. So I believe it's step by step. So phase 1 has come, we are expecting the phase 2 to be so that everything will be okay for us.
Mozanda, thank you very much, and congratulations once again on your award. He won the Joy News Impact Makers Award in the health category. Earlier, we heard from Isabella Akwabua, who also won in the health and women empowerment category at the same awards event. And we've also heard from Senior Success Bomita, who won in the education and wash category. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for your time this evening. We will be taking you to the Bank of Ghana headquarters for the announcement of the monetary policy rate shortly. But in the meantime, let's come back to the studio and do some politics, because NPP flagbearer Mahmoud Bawumia has urged minority MPs in Parliament to reposition themselves as a government in waiting, insisting that all parliamentary interventions must now be geared toward convincing Ghanaians that the NPP is ready to return to power in 2029. Addressing the MPs ahead of the House's resumption tomorrow, he said the party has moved beyond internal reflection and must now focus on presenting itself as a credible alternative government, with its messaging consistently answering one central public question: whether the NPP can be trusted to manage the country again.
In my reflection, there are 4 key things that I want you to have at the top of your minds as you return to the House tomorrow. First, we are no longer healing. We are preparing to govern. We have finished the period of introspection. We must now position ourselves credibly as a party preparing to govern from 7th January 2029. From this session onward, every word we speak must answer one question in the mind of the ordinary Ghanaian: can I trust the NPP to run the country again? That is the question we must answer. The positions we take on matters that come before the House, the alternative businesses, the alternative business we bring to the floor, the private members' bills we choose to introduce, our comments to the press, and what we participate in, abstain from, or even boycott, must all be guided by one objective: convincing the people of Ghana that they can trust us to do a better job than the NDC and move this country in the direction that ensures growth while safeguarding our country for future generations. This means that our viewpoint on issues and policy must be built on strategy, careful research, and well-crafted messages before we walk into the chamber. I will be directly involved in supporting you achieve this. The entire party is also building a strong architecture to support you through the sector committees, so we can sing from the same hymn sheet and act with a coordinated strategy at every point in time. We must always project this posture, that we are a party preparing to govern. This will send a strong message and well-meaning message to the people of Ghana, and emphasize our belief that it is only the NPP that can move this nation on a glorious path and not just propping our economy. We need to remind Ghanaians that we are the party who introduced the National Health Insurance Scheme, the school feeding program, the free senior high school policy, the youth employment program, to mention a few.
Well, the former vice president also charged the minority MPs to intensify scrutiny of the governing administration, describing them as the first in line of accountability and a key force in holding the state to account.
We are therefore meeting at a very critical intersection of our political history. The steps we take from this point onwards will be central to delivering Ghanaians from this unambitious and overpromising and under-delivering NDC government. I want to start by congratulating you for the hard work you have done so far. In the last 17 months, when all has been said and done, you have been the last line of defense and glimmer of hope for the Ghanaian. You have stood and defended our nation and party to everyone's admiration, earning you the accolade, the mighty minority. Well done, well done, well done. But I have not come only to congratulate you. I have come to encourage. The role you play from this Thursday is bigger than the number of seats we occupy. You are the parliamentary face of the hope that millions of Ghanaians still have in the new patriotic party. You are the expression of the ambition and plans of our party for the people of Ghana. Do not underestimate your place in this moment. In opposition, the minority caucus is not a spectator. You are the first line of accountability, the first line of policy scrutiny, and the first line of reassurance to citizens who are beginning to ask whether the promises made to them were carefully thought through or merely crafted for campaign applause and deception. I believe in this caucus. I believe in your intellect, your courage, your experience, your political instincts, and above all, your love for NPP and Ghana.
In the Upper West region, getting justice can often mean waiting for a judge, waiting for a magistrate, and sometimes waiting for courts to even sit. At the moment, 4 district courts in the region are being managed by just 1 magistrate, while the court in Tumu currently has no magistrate at all. Last week, members of Parliament's Parliamentary Judiciary Committee visited WA with assurances that efforts are underway to address the growing challenges confronting the justice system in the region, from abandoned court projects and understaffed courts to concerns over legal education and the future of the region's law school. Rafiq Salam reports on what is broken and what authorities say is being done to fix it.
Justice delayed isn't just a saying in the Upper West region. For many, it is a daily reality. 4 district courts, 1 magistrate, and in Tumu, no magistrate at all.
If you look at the district court, we have about 5 or so district courts. The Wa district court is currently manned. But for the other 4 district courts, we have only 1 district magistrate who is undertaking relieving duties as it were managing 3 courts.
The supervising judge of the Wahe Court, Justice Osewusu Inchi, laid out the staffing crisis to Parliament Judicial Committee during their visit to Wa.
Court infrastructure has been a very big problem. If you look at the kind of building housing our district court, it is so deplorable. In fact, the security of the presiding magistrate is even at risk.
But there was also good news. the new High Court complex, once stalled, is finally moving. Justice Wusu Unchui credited the committee's intervention for reviving the project. The second court now has a judge, but roads and recruitment remain hurdles.
If you look at our library, it is not in the best of shape. If we can, I don't know if provision is made for the new court complex, if we can have a library, a law library. Fortunately for us, we now have a law faculty at UBC. So if there is such a law library, it will be assistance not only of the court staff, but also the law students in the region.
Ranking member of the Judicial Committee of Parliament, Bid Anwata Ozmazie, then disclosed that the committee had already helped release funds to complete the Wa High Court complex. Now they are turning attention to the water system.
We as a committee will meet the judiciary and whatnot. And so whatever they have presented to us, when we have also come around and then we have known what is happening, then we can make an input. We can ask questions about why this, that, why that. And that one, they also take it into consideration and they will try to respond to it before we make a report which we will submit to the plenary of Parliament.
At the University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, Yobates, the committee heard that building a law school is tough when lecturers are hard to find. Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Osman Isaka Kantun said Yobates is expanding infrastructure to cope.
Quite challenging though, because to get even qualified lecturers is quite challenging. So we use mostly part-time lecturers to manage our students.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Cocoa farmers in Kajabi district of the Oti region are angry at the government over the delay in payment for cocoa beans purchased over 6 months ago. The farmers say the delay is making life unbearable for them. The farmers have given the government 3 days to attend to their concerns. Correspondent Peter Senu has more.
Cocoa farmers in the Dodipapasi Cocoa District in Kajabi district of the Oti region have demonstrated their anger at government for not releasing money to the produce buying companies to pay them for cocoa beans supplied to the companies since November 2025. The farmers, clad in red and wielding placards, say the delay in payment is making life unbearable for them. Some of them have been speaking to Joy News.
The president is encouraging young farmers to go, young ones to go into cocoa farming. Here is the case. As a young farmer, I have sold my cocoa to the government. For 6 good months now, my money haven't been paid to me. How do they expect me to invest again into the farming? It means that they are discouraging we, the young ones in the country, to stop farming. Yes. So we are pleading to the government that our money that is with him, he should pay us.
Now, what we are looking for, and what we expect from the government, that they should come and pay the farmers, so that they will be free and fair to the government. We thank them. We know that as NDC government, we are sure that with this, they will come and settle this payment.
The Muslim cocoa farmers say if things remain the same, their Eid celebration in the coming week will be gravely impacted.
I want to send a small appeal to the government about the cocoa and paid money, please. As I'm a Muslim, and then you can see we are heading towards our Eid al-Adha. The homes are crying, every family member is in a hardship. We need our money. Less than 3 days or less than 10 days for the Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha. But it is a must as a Muslim to sacrifice. And yet we have sold cocoa to the government and we have not received any money.
And happening now at the Bank of Ghana, let's take you straight to the central bank where the governor is expected to announce a new policy rate any moment from now as the bank concludes its 130th Monetary Policy Committee meeting amidst easing lending rates, inflation concerns and growing expectations. Let's head there now.
Maritime and air traffic, it has increased energy prices
and heightened policy uncertainty. Against this backdrop, the IMF has revised down its 2026 global growth projection to 3.1% from an initial estimate of 3.3%. The IMF also noted that further downward revisions are likely if the conflict is prolonged. The disruption to trade flows following the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz has led to a sharp increase in international crude oil prices and reignited inflationary pressures in both advanced and emerging market economies. Early indicators suggest that global headline inflation is beginning to accelerate, and this is fueled by higher energy and food prices and rising inflation expectations. The expected resurgence in inflation may prompt central banks to raise policy rates, which could push long-term bond yields higher, tighten global financing conditions, and reverse portfolio flows to emerging markets and developing economies. Domestically, economic activity strengthened in the first quarter of 2026. The Composite Index of Economic Activity, or the CIEA, which tracks the bank's high-frequency indicators of real sector activity, this expanded by 12.6% year-on-year in March 2026, and this was up from 2.3% in March 2025. The main drivers of the growth in the index were credit to the private sector, consumption, industrial production, and international trade activities. The latest surveys conducted in April 2026, however, indicated that both consumer and business confidence, though high, have softened compared with the February survey results. This was largely due to concerns about the domestic implications of the ongoing Middle East conflict. Similarly, Ghana's Purchasing Managers Index declined to 50.3% in April 2026 from 51.4% in March 2026, mainly reflecting higher input costs. Headline inflation inched up marginally to 3.4% in April 2026 from 3.2% in March, marking the first increase since December 2024. This uptick was driven by non-food inflation, which increased to 4.2% in April 2026 from 3.9% in the preceding month, and this was largely on account of base effects. Core inflation, which excludes energy and utility items, declined, indicating that underlying inflationary pressures continued to ease. However, inflation expectations among consumers, businesses, and the financial sector, these edged up marginally, but remained broadly anchored within the medium-term inflation target band. Growth in monetary aggregates moderated further in April 2026, and this too was largely reflecting the tight monetary policy stance. Reserve money growth slowed significantly to 3.6% in April 2026, compared to 38% growth a year earlier. Similarly, broad money supply expanded at a slower pace by 22.2%, down from 26.7% over the same period. On the money market, interest rates on short-term instruments declined further, reflecting easing inflation expectations and the monetary policy stance. Yields on the benchmark 91-day Treasury bill fell to 4.9% in April 2026 from 15.5% a year earlier. Similarly, the Ghana reference rate eased to 10.06% in April 2026 compared to 23.99% a year earlier. Also, average bank lending rates declined to 16.3% from 27.4%. In line with this, private sector credit rebounded strongly in April, up by 28.7% in nominal terms, compared with a 19.9% growth in April 2025. In real terms, this represents a growth of 24.5% compared to a contraction of 1.1% over the same comparative period. Now, provisional data show that fiscal performance for January to March 2026 reflected strong expenditure containment measures amid revenue shortfalls. On commitment basis, the fiscal balance recorded a surplus of 0.1% of GDP against the target deficit of 1.2%. The primary balance also recorded a surplus of 1.2% of GDP against a surplus target of 0.2%. The public debt stock of central government and guaranteed debt, these also rose to 674.1 billion Ghana cedis, constituting 42.2% of GDP at end February 2026 from 641.1 billion Ghana cedis, which constituted 44.7% of GDP at end December 2025. Now, the banking sector performance improved significantly. Total assets expanded by 26.6% year on year to 493.9 billion Ghana cedis in April 2026, supported by deposits, domestic borrowings, and shareholders' funds. Asset growth was largely driven by investments, which rose sharply by 52.6% in April 2026 relative to 27.8% in the same period last year. Credit growth also rebounded as financial intermediation improved. The banking sector's solvency position strengthened alongside improvements in asset quality. The capital adequacy ratio increased to 22.3% in April 2026 compared with 17.5% a year earlier. And the non-performing loan or NPL ratio also declined to 18% from 23.6% over the same comparative period. And this reflected a rebound in bank credits and reduction in the stock of NPLs. Nonetheless, elevated credit risk remains a key concern and requires banks strict adherence to the regulatory guidelines aimed at reducing non-performing loans in the industry. The external sector remained resilient despite the early impact of heightened geopolitical tensions, which temporarily slowed gold export shipments in March and April 2026. In the first quarter of 2026, the current account surplus improved to $3.1 billion from $2.43 billion in the same period in 2025. This was primarily driven by robust gold and cocoa export earnings alongside stable remittance inflows despite the rise in payments for services and investment income. Gross international reserves increased to $14.4 billion as at May 18, 2026, equivalent to 5.7 months of imports cover for goods and services, up from $13.8 billion in December 2025. Reserve accumulation continued to provide buffers to the foreign exchange market. And in the interbank market, the cedi depreciated by 8.4% against the US dollar in the year to May 15, 2026. And this was largely due to demand from the energy sector and dividend payments by some corporate entities. In taking the policy decision, the committee therefore acknowledged that ongoing geopolitical tensions in the Middle East have broadly weakened the global growth outlook. It has stoked inflationary concerns and has also heightened policy uncertainty, with potential implications to the domestic economy through the trade and financial channels. The data showed that although inflation had started rising in advanced economies, the spillovers to the domestic economy through the trade channel remained muted. The committee also noted that the domestic economy continues to recover, as evidenced by the strong outturn in the CIEA during the first quarter. Growth is projected to remain strong, supported by an expansion in private sector credit. However, commodity price volatility and supply chain disruptions could pose downward risk to growth. Regarding price dynamics, inflation remained well below the lower limit of the medium-term target band. Although headline inflation and expectations indicators picked up marginally, core inflation declined, indicating continued easing of underlying inflationary pressures. The latest forecast suggested that inflation is expected to trend upward into the medium-term target band, largely due to base drift effects related to exchange rate movements, food supply conditions, and transport fares. Upside risks to the inflation outlook included the protracted Middle East crisis, which could keep crude oil prices above $100 per barrel and raise the prospect of petroleum price pass-through into domestic transport and utility costs. The quarterly adjustment mechanism for utility tariffs could exert upward pressure on non-food inflation in the coming months. But however, relative exchange rate stability, increasing reserve buffers, and continued fiscal discipline are expected to help moderate these upside risks. Based on the above considerations, the committee assessed risks in the outlook to inflation and growth as broadly balanced and decided to maintain the monetary policy rate at 14.0%. The committee will continue to monitor incoming data, in particular relating to potential spillover of the geopolitical tensions to the domestic economy, and take appropriate policy actions when necessary. The committee took yet an additional measure. The committee decided to amend the dynamic cash reserve ratio to a uniform ratio of 20%, maintained in the domestic currency effective June 4, 2026. The next Monetary Policy Committee meeting is scheduled for July 20 to 22, 2026, and that meeting will also conclude on July 22nd, 2026, with the announcement of the policy decision. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Governor Dr. Johnson Dafeamekpor. If you just joined us, this is the 130th MPC press briefing led by Governor Dr. Johnson Dafeamekpor. We are also live on Joy News, Channel 1, GNA, Northern Report, and BNFT. Here with the governor is also members of the Monetary Policy Committee. So members of the media, as we always do it, we'll take some rounds of questions, and for clarity and also to ensure that the questions are well answered, please give us one question at a time and straight to the point. Keep the narratives very, very short. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Thomas.
My name is Dominic Ayine from Corporate Guardian Magazine. Over the past fortnight or so, we've realized that Treasury bill issuances have resumed oversubscription. Now, what's...
Right, so that's the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Johnson Dafeamekpor, there, announcing a raft of measures that have been taken by the central bank. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. That's it for the Pulse this evening, but that particular meeting continues after this. Enjoy.
To invest in Treasury bills. Well, are there some other factors we don't know about which have now caused the reversal from undersubscription to oversubscription over the past fortnight?
Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Joshua Wolasiamlanu with the Business and Financial Times. So, Governor, just for clarity, what's the reasoning behind the additional policy, the CRR, and what would be the effect on inflation, as well as on your operation in regards to OMO? Thank you.
Please, I'm Natalie Nete from CTFM Channel 1 TV.
Governor, please, some economists in recent times have argued that there's a wide gap between inflation and the policy rate. And this gives the Bank of Ghana more room to ease the monetary policy rate. What's your position on it, and what reasons are you giving for that? Thank you.
Right, so we'll take the last question for this round. Yes. James Ishen from Joy News. My question had to do with the banking space. Average lending rates are falling, but it appears businesses still say credit remains expensive. So the question now is, why is monetary policy transmission still a bit weak?
Why is monetary policy
transmission a bit weak?
A bit weak?
Yes, please.
Can we get some more clarity? The statement he made before that.
Right, James. Yeah. So when you speak to business, I mean, the last time we met, you made mention of the fact that banks are reaching out to businesses, but it appears it is mostly for the private sector and also the public sector. But it seems the informal sector is not really feeling this the fall with respect to interest. Yes, they are not really feeling that. So that is what I wanted to. And also a quick one before I go. The last time we met also, you made mention of the fact that there were two struggling banks, and you were considering an extension with respect to those banks. I think one of them, I need an update with respect to that.
Okay, so I'll start with the very last one on the, I wouldn't call them struggling banks. They are banks that are recapitalizing. Remember, the deadline was for December 2025, but then theirs was extended to March, and we have again extended it for the two of them till June 2025. So far, we are comfortable with the progress they have made, and we are confident that by the end of June 2025, those two banks, 2026, those two banks would also be fully recapitalized. Then, still coming from the bottom, there was a question about weak transmission to lending rates. That was what you asked about. Well, when the interest rates are falling, it may take a while. You know, remember the low interest regime we are having currently is quite new to the banks. It takes time for them to shift their portfolios, right? And so I can understand why you don't see the same speed of adjustment. Part of the feedback we got from some of the banks is that, look, you don't just rush into giving out loans. There has to be adequate bankable projects, right? You don't compromise your credit appraisal standards. And so eventually we will see, lending rates picking up at close to the same speed. Once we engineer and we sustain the low interest environment and it is realistic, we will see that full transmission. Then there was the third one. I guess that was about the real interest rate, right? The real policy rate. You're saying there's quite a gap still there, which suggests there's still room for easing. That is true. But remember, the committee evaluated other forms of risks. The elephant in the room here is the Middle East crisis. Up to this time, one is not sure whether it's a temporary crisis or whether it's going to be a long-lasting one. If we assume that it will be a longer-lasting one, then you can imagine the impact on inflation expectations or the so-called second-round effects. And so, on the balance, the committee assessed the improvements in the fundamentals. It looked at not just the domestic economy, but also the headwinds that are coming from some of these global shocks. And that's why, in the wisdom of the committee, it was decided to pause and to evaluate all these incoming data so that at the next MPC round, the committee would evaluate the issues again and take an appropriate decision. Then, Joshua, you were asking the impact of OMO relating to the additional policy measure. So you'll remember just about a year ago, we took a similar policy measure where we separated the provisioning for the two types of deposit accounts. Down the road, a year after, the committee evaluated some of the incentives, some of the expected benefits for which those dynamic, structure of provisioning was put in place. We think that it's about time we reviewed that, considering the outcomes that we have observed. And in the wisdom of the committee, we think that this will go a long way to complement, our open market operations. Remember, our objective is to maintain an appropriate, policy stance, the so-called liquidity conditions. That's how we are able to impact on our transmission. And so, in the wisdom of the committee, this additional measure was taken. We have provided clear dates by which the policy takes effect. And also remember, we meet the CEOs of banks immediately after MPC. So next week, we'll be meeting all CEOs of banks. We'll take them through the policy. We'll take them through the implication, and that should be good for the markets. Then Toma asked about why the Treasury bill oversubscription in the last couple of weeks. I thought you asked the finance minister first. It's a market. It's an auction. We don't just do allocations anyhow. The banks, the treasurers of banks, they make those decisions based on market conditions and what they forecast. The market to be like going forward. And so, yes, over subscriptions, the minister knows what they are doing. Remember what we do. Our OMOs are separate from those T-bill auctions. And so that is all I can say about it. It is good government is able to meet its PSBR at the end of the day. And it is good if the rates are not escalating while government does so. But for further inquiry, you may want to send some questionnaires to the finance ministry. I'm sure they'll be able to provide answers. That exhausts the first set of questions.
This is the 130th MPC press briefing led by Governor Dr. Johnson Pandit-Esiama. The policy rate has been maintained at 14%. We are also live on Ghana Web. So we'll take the second round of questions. And as usual, for brevity, just keep it short. Thank you.
All right, Governor, my name is Norman Akwaheford. I report for Norman Report. I have two questions. Quick one. The net international reserves dropped from around 11 billion to about 10.98 thereabout. And I want to find out what accounted for this. Was it as a result of interventions that the bank took in April? And then also I want to find out from you, Cocoa Board plans to issue bonds and bills to the tune of about 11 billion. What are the timelines, if you know, and will this be listed as a commercial paper on the stock exchange? I want to find out from you. Thank you.
Right. My name is Nano Yankra. I work with Class FM. Governor, I would like to know what your outlook for the CD is for the next 2 quarters and how this will impact your policy decisions. Also, I would like to know which sectors are receiving the most lending and which ones are being crowded out. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Nitrebi. I'm with the Finder newspaper. Governor, we know that inflation has declined significantly, even though it edged up a little bit in the last month. And we know there are improved reserves and also relatively tight monetary conditions. But the city continues to face some depreciation pressures, and we are told it's around 8.4% in the first 5 months of this year. What does the committee believe is currently driving exchange rate movements, and should the market expect additional policy measures aimed at stabilizing the currency?
Governor, my name is Belinda Anankwansa, and I'm with Wezo TV. Now, following report by the IMF's Monetary and Capital Market Department, prepared in collaboration with BOG, there are growing calls from policy analysts for the establishment of a dedicated financial stability committee with a mandate similar to that of the standing of the MPC, focusing specifically on systematic risk in the financial sector. Given Ghana's recent experience with financial sector stress, including spillover effect of DDEP, do you believe the current institutional framework within the bank is sufficient to monitor and mitigate systematic risk, or is there merit in creating a formal standalone macro-prudential decision-making body in addition to the Financial Stability Council?
Right, so Belinda concludes this round of questions with a loaded one. Right, so, Mr. Governor.
Quite a loaded one indeed. So let me start with Belinda's question on the Financial Stability Committee. Yes, indeed. We've taken note of that recommendation, and the Bank of Ghana board at its next meeting will take a decision on that. But certainly, let me affirm that establishing that committee will go a long way to support our macro-prudential supervision. It's another toolkit that will help affairs, just as we have the Monetary Policy Committee that has been put in place. So yes, we are working in that direction. Then someone asked about CD depreciating. Why so? First of all, we have always said it, that the framework we have is a managed float. It's not a fixed exchange rate regime. So the CD is expected to move, all right, on a daily basis. Expect the CD to move. It can depreciate, it can appreciate. Our concern is to avoid excessive volatility, right? So we haven't, announced that we are keeping a fixed exchange rate. It's okay for the CD to be flexible. Now, it is true, we've observed a surge in demand, an increase in demand in recent weeks. But remember the times we are in, the geopolitical, disturbances out there and its impact in terms of oil prices, trade disruptions here and there. What that means is the same volume of crude oil is costing about twice more by way of foreign exchange. So you can imagine why there's greater demand on FX, or therefore some depreciation pressure on the CD. Then remember the seasonal impacts as well. We are in the month of May, April, May. This is when banks and other companies, publish their accounts. This is when dividend payments are being made, to other countries. When those dividends are being sent out, they don't send cedis. They want to send US dollars. And it's the same demand, it's the same exchange rate that's to, take the impact. So it's not surprising at all. We are doing everything we can to stem excessive volatility. The good part of it all is that we have the buffers. We are building on a daily basis. At times you might see the buffers a little, deep. It doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. Remember, it's on a daily basis. Our trade account is improving, and so long as we have the buffers, so long as we continue to add, it doesn't matter. The CD, let it float, let it move. What we will ensure is that we wouldn't see a return to the kind of volatility we saw in a number of years past. Right. And so if I can give you the NIR, yes, at 10.9 as of April. Currently, it is at 12.43 billion. So that's a clear increase. That's a clear increase. So we have the reserves, we have the buffers, and we should be able to do what we have to do. Then there was the next question about the outlook for the CD. I've just said it. We don't have a target for the CD. It is an endogenous variable. It's supposed to be flexible. What we do is to, avoid excessive volatility. But of course, in real terms, we're also interested in what happens to the CD in real terms, to make sure that it is not persistently, overvalued. So the MPC, takes the pains to evaluate data on all these variables to make sure that we are very much aligned. And where we are currently, we believe that in real terms we are aligned. In nominal terms, The city is experiencing some volatility, but we think we have the buffers, and we do understand why those volatilities are coming in. Now, there was a question on sectors that are receiving the most credit. Well, commerce, continues to attract, but you should understand, commerce is an area that is very fluid. But that said, we are beginning credit, strong growth in private sector credit. And to the extent that this growth is sustained, all sectors, will benefit. Remember where we came from. There used to be, people, private sector, borrowing at over 30%. Currently going by the GRR, you could borrow at about 10%. And so let's sustain the private sector credit growth going forward, and we are sure that all sectors will benefit. I'm sure you are aware of some of the other things we are doing, like the digital credit, policy that we are pushing ahead with. So very soon it should be possible, no matter which sector you are involved in, you can just raise, a loan on your mobile phone. Not the type of loans, microcredit people took and never paid back. But this is going to be a well-administered framework. You can raise little sums to, do some things for yourselves. So it will filter through over time. Then I think that is all for the question on the cedi depreciation. Did I answer Novan's question? Oh, that was on the NIR, yes. Yes. Yeah, so the Cocoa Board one, so it will be better you speak to Cocoa Board on these, right? Because we are not issuing that bond for them. All we have to do is to make sure the regulatory requirements are met, and that we are working on. But the actual timetable, volumes, rates, and things like that, please speak to Cocoa Board on that. Novan.
Right, thank you very much, Governor. Third round of, yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. My name is Morris with GTV. So, Governor, you have worked tirelessly to ensure, among many other things, that we enjoy low fuel price at the pump. I just want to know, regardless of how long the U.S.-Iran war lingers, are you able to assure us that we are still in safe hands, that you will protect us? Thank you.
Assurance.
Good afternoon, Governor. My name is Emmanuel Bruce, Reuters. I think you mentioned that there was a slowdown in our gold shipments in March and April as a result of the geopolitical tensions. I want to find out if shipments have resumed now, and what was the impact of this slowdown on the country. And then lastly, if any emerging new markets have emerged as a result of this crisis. Thank you.
All right. My name is Adnan Adams. I report for Economy Times newspaper. With our NPL ratios, which is a little below 20%, just wanted to know to what extent the domestic exchange, the debt exchange that happened some time ago, to what extent did we contribute to this, and what are we going to do to these commercial banks who do not follow through to the steps of cleaning their books of the high NPLs that currently we have in the banking sector. And looking at the non-interest banking, I think all is set for we to have it being operationalized now. And as we are looking up to having the first license issued, how are we going to ensure the liquidity management and integrated into your system for supervisory activities and others? Thank you.
We can hear you. I mean, why won't we increase the policy rate? Okay. All right, so we can take that. Okay, so Suleiman, maybe I should start with yours. I explained that the committee assesses a number of factors, right? Call them upside risks versus downside risk, right? In terms of the outlook. And it is about the balance, where the balance is tilted. And then that guides them as to whether to hike or whether to stay put or whether to reduce. At this MPC round, the committee was of the opinion that these risks, both to the upside and downside, are pretty balanced. And so they might as well stay for a while. At the next meeting of the MPC, they will evaluate, new data, and then if they have to hike, they will do so. If they have to stay put again, they will do so. If they have to, go back to the easing cycle, they will do so. So yes, the committee is very much aware of the factors going forward. They will continue to observe. Then there was a question on non-interest banking. That is something that is dear to my heart. We are all waiting to see the launch of the first non-interest banking, institution. A lot has been done. Professor Gyasi is here. I'm sure you all know him. We give him a lot of credit for the work he has done. Hopefully this year we will see the first license. They are working very hard, putting in place the structures. The regulatory structures are very, very stringent, I can assure you. This is best practice. So have no fears about that at all. The necessary structures are being put in place to ensure that non-interest banking thrives and thrives well. The head of banking supervision is also involved, is right here. If you want to ask further questions after we end the press briefing, they will be here to give you further insights on that. Then there was a question on commercial banks, on NPLs. Yes, we have already issued a number of guidelines to commercial banks on these NPLs. The deadline is end of 2026. We expect that the rate will go down further. But note that the ratio we mentioned is the gross. That is without taking out the fully provisioned loans. When you take out the fully provisioned loans, the net NPL works up to around 8%, I'm told. So your question would be, why don't we just erase the fully provisioned loans? We don't just erase them because there's something called moral hazard. If you just erase them, you could be raising moral hazard issues out there. And so we still urge the commercial banks to pursue, the beneficiaries of those loans, and as much as possible to collect, even though they may have written off, fully those loans. They go after them and collect as much as they can.